It's been a fucking week. Cheers. So hello, back again. This is Daniel Mart, and this time around we're going to be discussing the Sag-Aftra strike. Because of course we are. Yeah, it's been 1 week. A lot of stuff has happened. And we're going to talk about it. So what exactly are we going to be discussing right now? What are we going to be discussing right now? Essentially the strike. So what are we exactly going to be talking about right now? So exactly we're going to be talking about why the strike itself is happening, what they're fighting for, what they want, what actors can and cannot do at this current moment, and just some of the current recent developments, some of the minor controversies are going on with it as well, just to get you guys as informed as possible, because it's been a fucking mess. It's been 1 week, and it's been a mess. It's been a goddamn mess, to put it lightly. I mean, it was already a mess even before this, and now with the strike, no less. So first off, why exactly is this strike happening? So basically, Sag-Aftra and the AMPTP, they've been in negotiations for the past couple months, trying to get rights for the actors, like people like myself, you, me, myself, everyone. And most of these rights negotiations that they're for has to do around the use of AI technology, which is actually the biggest thing that they've been fighting for, as well as healthcare and pension rates, and just higher wages, especially when it comes to streaming and revenue. And those have basically been the major things that they've been negotiating for. As many of you have probably heard, especially with the AI thing, that's probably the most what the fuck thing that's been discussed. A lot of people are comparing it to like an episode of Black Mirror. I can't really comment because I've never seen Black Mirror, but yeah, essentially what they want to do is, primarily for background actors, scan the actor's likeness, pay them a day's rate, and then be like, okay, goodbye, we don't need you anymore. And then they get to use that forever. They get to use the individual's likeness forever. And people on the AMPTP's side have said, no, that's kind of that's a misunderstanding of what we're trying to do. We're just trying to use it for one film, for just one project, but everybody's calling bullshit because you get to use it forever. The other major thing that the SAG-AFTRA is fighting for is for healthcare insurance. Right now, only a very small amount of people are actually able to benefit from the healthcare insurances. As you guys are probably seeing right here, as a SAG-AFTRA member, you have to make $26K a year to get healthcare insurance. But the thing is that 87% of union members don't qualify annually. So that means only 13% of the actual union members do qualify for this healthcare insurance, which is, I don't know, personally, I'm not sure if that surprises me or not. But I still don't know if that surprises me or not. But at the same time, what they're fighting for in regards to this, they want to make sure so it's not 87% of union members can't qualify it. They want more members to qualify for it. I haven't been able to find any reports as to what number they want to say, like, hey, we need to make this amount of money in order to qualify for it. I haven't been able to find that yet, but that they also have that. So that's the thing on the health insurance side. And the last major thing that they're currently fighting for as well is for streaming shows, streaming rights, streaming revenue. In the past week, I think even a little bit before this, a lot of actors have come out and said, hey, I've actually been able to make more money as a waiter in my regular day job than as an actor. There's been reports of many actors and actresses who have worked on streaming shows saying, hey, because of the revenue, that I only get like $200. I only get like $80. If I'm not mistaken, a few of the actors from Orange is the New Black came out with that. The lead actress from She-Hulk also came with that. But again, those are major shows, major streaming shows, and they're making nothing. And some of them are saying, hey, it was better for me to be a waiter. I made more as a water than I'm making off the revenue. So like that's obviously a very concerning thing. So very fast, I just wanted to put up this graphic right here to show you guys exactly what has been negotiated. Aside from the three major points, I mean the three major points are still here, but just to give you the full scope of everything, and that is the highest percentage increase in minimum wages in 35 years, a 76 increase in high budget SVOD for residuals, substantial increase in pensions and health contribution caps, groundbreaking AI proposal which protects performers' digital likeness, including a requirement for performers' consent for the creation and use of digital replicas and for digital alterations of a performance, a 58% increase in salaries for major roles and guest stars, performers, wages on high-budget SVOD programs, a limitation of self-tape requests, including page, time, and tech requirements, optional for virtual or in-person auditions, 11% pay increase in year one for background actors, stand-ins, and photo doubles, an additional 17% increase for background actors required to do extensive self-style, and an additional 62% increase for stand-ins required to deliver lines during a run-through, and photo doubles required to memorize and deliver lines on camera. A first-time ever fixed residual for stunt coordinators on television and high-budget SVOD programs, shortened option periods for series regular earnings less than $65,000 per episode on a half-hour series or $70,000 per episode on a one-hour series, and dancers will receive the on-camera rate for rehearsal days. So I mean, that's basically everything they're fighting for. I'll link it down below, but there is another graphic where it shows more in detail some of these proposals, more further broken down, and how AMTP basically countered it, if they rejected it outright or if they did manage to counter it in some way, or how they were trying to negotiate it. That's essentially what this whole debate right now is, and what this whole strike is about, in its form. And yeah, the fight keeps on. So now, very fast before I move on to my next point, I also do want to tell you guys which companies are currently being struck companies. These are now considered struck companies, which we cannot work for, which I'll get to in a moment. And the companies are Amazon, Disney, Fox, Netflix, Sunset Gower, Paramount, Sony, NBC, Universal, Warner Bros., CBS, Clover Studios, HBO, and Discovery. So those are all the studios that are currently being protested against, or are currently being struck. These are now considered struck companies. Keep that in mind, because I'm going to get to it later. Now, due to the strike, there's actually been a number of projects where we either can or cannot work on, and that's what I kind of want to go over very fast right now as well, again, to get you all informed. So what we cannot work on, can't, and this comes from the official Sag-Aftra Instagram in this case, and what you can't work on, it's basically producer Sag-Aftra codified basic agreements, Sag-Aftra television agreements, which includes new media, special new media agreements, low budget theatrical agreements, moderately low budget project agreements, ultra low budget project agreements, Sag-Aftra new media agreements for higher budget and original or derivative programs, and then on-camera work, that's acting, singing, dancing, stunts, puppeteering, which, side note, I didn't know that puppeteering was covered under Sag-Aftra, but cool. Off-camera, you have voice acting, narrating, singing, ADR, looping, and it also includes background acting, stand-ins, auditions, and self-tapes, rehearsals, and publicity. You can't do conventions, you can't do interviews, tours, promoting on social media, or any struck work or struck companies. And struck work and struck companies, that's something I want you guys to remember, because I'm going to touch upon that later, because there is a whole controversy with that specifically, and I'll get to it later on in the video. I want you guys to remember that. Struck work and struck companies. And then what you can work on. So just because the strike's going on, that doesn't mean we can't work. We still have the ability to work. And these are basically the stuff that you can work. Commercial television, radio, and digital media, which includes the influencer agreement and the cameo for business agreement. Television programs covered by network TV code, soap operas, variety shows, talk shows, and game shows. Although with talk shows, you do have the caveat that you can't promote your movies or your TV work. So someone put an example in one of these posts. Someone put an example of, hey, I could go there and promote my book, but I can't go out there and promote my movie. It's like that type of stuff. Sound recordings, music videos, interactive video game agreements, corporate and educational and non-broadcasting, also known as industrial work, station contract and broadcast news, television and new media animation, dubbing, audiobooks, short project agreements, micro-budget project agreements, student film agreements, independent new media agreements, independent podcast agreements, and micro-monetized podcast agreements, SAG-Aftra approved interim agreements, and certain separately negotiated basic cable agreements. So very fast, because I realized I missed this when I was originally recording this part. But there is some other work you can work on. Again, this is on the Sag-Aftra Instagram post that I'm sharing the slides here of. And just to add it a little bit more, other stuff you can work on are variety shows, talk shows, game shows, reality and competition shows, special events, award shows, documentaries other than those produced for theatrical exhibition, daytime serials, soap operas essentially. Furthermore, performers engaged in work under the network television code should continue to honor their contracts. Meanwhile, TV theatrical streaming agreements cover work performed for the companies represented by the Alliance AMPTP and some independent producers for the most part. This work is scripted programming, or what that agreement calls dramatic. Working on these productions is off limits until we get a fair deal. So again, just more of it. And that's basically the main stuff you can work on if you are a SAG member. Now, I want to touch upon something that I've seen also come up lately in two ways, and I'm going to discuss both ways. And just for full transparency, me myself, I'm non-union, and I'm currently, as it stands now, I am not SAG eligible. I did do a project in the past that should have gotten me my SAG eligibility status, but the paperwork never came through, and so as it stands now, I am not SAG eligible. I do wish to join the union eventually, but again, as it stands now, I am completely non-union. I am unaffiliated. I am not even eligible, because I want to get that out of the way very fast before I discuss anything else I want to say. Because I can't even say they're a vocal minority, because they're not. They're just straight up a pure minority. But I've seen it a lot, and it's funny because a lot of people are saying, "Hey, no, what the fuck are you saying? Shut up!" And they're still fighting back. And there's a subsection of actors who basically say, "Hey, it doesn't matter if you're union, non-union, SAG, eligible, whatever. You shouldn't be working. Period." And that's the one thing from this strike that I personally just do not like, because the logic is, because SAG-Aftra themselves, they put out a note that's saying, and it said something, hey, if you are looking to be, if you're looking to be a member at one point and you end up crossing the picket line, so to speak, or the picket fence, you will not join the union. You will reject you from the union. However, they specify that if you work for a struck company or a struck film or whatever. And again, there's this subsection of actors who are saying, no, that means you can't work on anything. It doesn't matter what you do. And I actually got into a real heated disagreement with this one actor. I'm not going to name him because the guy's a douchebag. Who cares? I don't really give a fuck. He actually blocked me at the end of it, that was great. That was very fun. But this douchebag, he basically got on my ass saying, oh, I can't believe you're going to work, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I told him, hey, I'm a non-union actor on a non-union film. In fact, this is my own film. I'm a film I'm directing at the moment, it's currently in pre-production. But so I don't see what the danger is of me doing that. And he kind of got on my ass, and I told him, hey, yes, I do wish to join the union eventually, but right now I am non-union. I am not even eligible, and this is my own project. Think of it as a student. I literally told him this is basically a student film, and he still got on my ass for it, and then he blocked me at the end. So yeah, again, there's a subsection of actors who are saying you should, if you're an actor and you really want to show solidarity, you really want to show support, you shouldn't work point blank and period. And I think that's a very callous way to view the strike. SAG themselves have already said, hey, this is what you can work on. SAG has already said, hey, if you're non-union, you can still work on non-union projects. You can work on non-union commercials. You can work on like non-union student films. Doesn't matter. Really, those rules, the rules I showed you right now, really only apply to SAG-Aftra and SAG-eligible actors. Granted, if you're a non-union and you somehow get on a SAG project, or right now SAG project or AMTP project, you probably would be barred after that. But given the fact the whole industry is at a standstill, the likelihood of that happening to begin with is unknown. So another big discussion that has been popping off as of recently is the discussion of FICOR and financial core. So what is FICOR? What is financial core? So financial core is a legal designation or status that allows some actors to work in both union and non-union projects. It's controversial. That's exactly what it means. And what are my thoughts on FICOR? I'm gonna be honest. I personally, I don't give a shit. I feel like if you want to make your money some way somehow, I am thankful for what the union does, but there are times where they are seemingly limiting. And keep in mind, I'm coming from this from my perspective. I live down here in South Florida, where the majority of us are not union actors. We don't really have the ability to become union actors because very little union work comes here. So a lot of our work has to come from non-union work. So for me, I personally don't give a shit. Now, will I do it in the future? Probably not. But I'm also guessing by the time I join the union, I'm at a good enough place for why I joined the union, if that makes sense. But that's been a huge controversy. And kind of going back to that douchebag from last time that I mentioned previously, that was one of the discussions that some people brought up, like, hey, I am not located in Atlanta, I'm not located in Texas, I'm not located in New York or California, I am located in Montana, Idaho, Iowa, etc., 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 where it's actually more beneficial for me to work on non-union projects than it is for unions, because I don't get that many work, I don't get that much work. And again, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I don't really give a shit. Again, personally, I don't give a shit what you do. I am neither advocating nor condemning people who do FICA. But that's been a very huge discussion, and there's been a lot of controversy behind it. And honestly, I didn't know what FICA was until like literally last week when this all popped off. So there you go. But yeah, that is a huge discussion. It's something I don't know. I just felt like I need to talk about it as well, because that is a huge discussion that's popped off recently because of this whole debacle. And I don't know. For me, I part of me wants to say it's kind of a non-factor because furthermore, as it stands now, they do have agreements where if you are working on a bigger project that would normally be SAG associated, you can make a contract with them, and that will give you the leeway to work. In fact, the news actually broke out today that a number of films, including like two or three from A24, are actually going to go back into production because they've done this agreement with Sag-Aftra. Actually, the news broke out today that actually a number of films, three of them that are associated with A24, are actually going to go back into production after they've done this agreement with Sag-Aftra, saying, hey, we'll follow the rules, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of these films that are able to make these agreements are already not associated with AMTP, which are the major studios. People are still going to do work now. If they're actually going to do work right now or still stand in solidarity with the rest of the actors, that's a whole different question, which, that's up to them at that point. I know there are filmmakers, actors, etc., who have the ability to work right now and are not going to go to work. And like Chris Nolan, I know right now he said, hey, I'm going to stop production on my next film, whatever his next film is, just to stand in solidarity with the movement. Now, there has been some conversations every here and there that if you're not an actor, if you're like just a regular person who just watches TV, who just goes to the movie theater, who just goes on Netflix or whatever, like there's been some conversation on if you should cancel your subscription, if you shouldn't go to movies anymore. I kind of find those conversations laughable, if I'm being honest. It's just like I don't know. I just find it kind of laughable. Now, frankly, you could do whatever you want. If you want to cancel your subscription in solidarity, go ahead. If you're not gonna watch movies ever, or I guess AMTP movies anymore, that's fine. That's up to you. I'm not sure if that's with or against solidarity. I don't know. Like, I mean, most people are saying like, no, don't do that. And generally speaking, that is the idea. Don't do that. Like, if you guys want to keep your subscription, keep it. If you guys want to go watch Indiana Jones or Mission Impossible or whatever, go watch Oppenheimer, Barbie. Go watch it. Like, yeah, I just find that to be kind of a funny argument. Again, another thing I kind of wanted to touch upon, because it is one of those things that's been popping off in the past week. And look, if you guys really want to do that, that's how you guys want to go and protest. More power to you. Go ahead. And I'm recording this right now very fast, which is why you get the black screen, because I was going to comment on it earlier and then I forgot and I remembered. So, yay. But now onto the actual comment. Honestly, if you really want to help the cause and don't really feel like giving up your Netflix subscriptions, Amazon Prime subscriptions, going to movie theaters, I mean, as far as I know, nobody's really calling for that to begin with, but that's besides the point. But if you guys really, really want to help the cause and you're not an actor, you're not from SAG, you're not WGA, you're not a filmmaker, you're not anything. If you really want to help, you could do a number of things. First off, there's a bunch of organizations that are helping the cause. You guys could research them and see how you can help with that, whether it be volunteer service or donating money or whatever. You can also go to some of the picket lines. If your city has a picket line, go and protest alongside the rest of the actors, filmmakers, whoever is there. There are a bunch of other organizations and unions that are supporting this. Like the stripper unions are there, the teachers unions, the janitors unions. There's a bunch of other unions that are helping out with this, with the WGA, with the SAG-AFTRA strikes. Again, all in solidarity. So if you guys really want to help out, that's something you can do. So I'm adding this in post because I realized I forgot to mention it, but there currently are resources for actors who do need help because of the strike. People aren't going to be working, and because people aren't working, they're not going to be making any money, of course. But because of that, there are some services here that are organizations, services, etc., that do want to help in our time of need, as you can see right here in this image, in this graphic. Just to kind of give you the names of the organizations, it's the Entertainment Community Fund, formerly known as the Actors Fund, the Team Masters Motion Picture Division Financial Support Fund, Behind the Scenes, MPTF, Pay Up, SAG After Foundation, Casting Society Cares, and the WGA. So at the end of the day, what are my general thoughts on the strike? I fully support it, with the one caveat being that the people who are saying that if you're an actor of any kind, you shouldn't be doing any kind of work. That's the one thing I will fully not support. Again, fuck that guy. Um, but aside from that, that's really it. I do support this movement. I do support it in full. I don't think people should be scanned Black Mirror style, whatever that's supposed to mean. Again, haven't seen the show, but we shouldn't be scanning people and paying them a day rate just to have their face there for like the rest of forever. Like, and also fuck Bob Iger and David Zaslav for saying that our demands are unreasonable, even though you guys have fucking millions of dollars. I don't know right now what it is off the top of my head, but I'm gonna put it here. But like, you guys are fucking millionaires and billionaires, and you guys are saying, oh, it's unreasonable for what the fuck they're fighting for. I'm like, yo, shut the fuck up, Bob. Like Bob Iger, especially you. Didn't Disney fucking go down under your command in the past couple of years? Because you dipped. Another Bob came in for about 2 years, and then you came back, and then it's just been floundering significantly between Star Wars and the fucking Disney remakes and Indiana Jones. Which, I mean, personally, I actually did like the Indiana Jones, but many people trashed it. So fuck off, just fuck off, Bob Iger. And then David Zaslav. I mean, the motherfucker canceled a movie because for a tax break. Whether it's gonna be good or bad, that's a whole different question. But like, shut up. Like, shut up. You guys have more money than you guys even know what to do. And that's the other thing. A lot of people think that this is for the big Hollywood actors like DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Jolie, I don't know, Kate Winslet. Like these big actors, Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, whatever. And it's not. It's for like the little guys. So again, I'm not part of the union, but think of it like for me, or maybe for you, if you're watching this video and you're in the union, this could be for you. It's not all for the big actors, because realistically speaking, a lot of these demands I don't think would affect big actors of that status. I don't think, not to the degree that they're going to affect us. So like that's kind of the thing that I just find kind of odd that that's the stance that some people are taking. Like, oh, this is only for Hollywood actors, the big Hollywood actors. Why they finding this? They already have their millions. I'm like, no, it's for the little guys. Like, it's for people like me, for people like you. Like, it, that's another thing that kind of just gets annoying, if I'm being honest. And I'll be honest, personally, I didn't see the AI issue at first per se. Like, of course, like right off the bat, I understood it was bad, but I guess I didn't realize how bad it really was. And then actually, what opened my eyes to it was actually this post by Chris Stuckmann, where he actually said, "Hey, this is what would have happened had AI existed in the '90s, where if people could scan." The background extras back in the '90s, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon would have never done these movies, would have never done this, and that. And he did a post on his Instagram, and then he did a video on it, which I'm gonna link again. All my sources down below. Check them out. I think that's what really opened my eyes to this whole situation. And of course, now they're teamed up with the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, and they've been protesting for about the last 2 months, I want to say. I forget how many days, but it's about 2.5 months, I want to say, at this point. I mean, again, the industry right now truly is at a standstill. It hasn't been this bad since 1960, where both unions were on strike, and the acting guild hasn't been on strike since the 80s, 1980. To be specific. I mean, we had a minor strike a couple years ago, but that was only geared towards video game acting, video game voiceovers or whatever, but like a strike of this magnitude hasn't been done since 1980. It's truly a monumental moment, and we'll see what happens. We're gonna keep fighting, and however long this takes. I just think that the aftermath of this right now, it's gonna be a lot more independent cinema. I really don't know how much that word even matters anymore, given the fact that stuff like A24 and Neon Pictures and whatever, and all those, and Blumhouse are considered independent cinema. Lionsgate, throw them in there as well, because technically speaking, they are considered independent cinema. But I think something like real, purely independent cinema, like homemade, very micro budget, less than like maybe $50,000, maybe even, maybe something like that. I think that type of work could be on the rise. And I say could because I feel like this is where the cynic in me kind of comes out, or the pessimist in me comes out. But like, I don't necessarily see how, with there being a strike, there would now be this huge influx of people wanting to watch movies, which I know seems kind of ironic. Like, what the fuck are you saying, Daniel? But like, I just feel like most of us are concerned on the strike. Most union members can't work right now. So really the only people who can work are non-union, but the thing is that non-union work usually doesn't get the same exposure as union work per se, or even like, again, let's take A24, Neon Pictures, whatever. We don't usually get that type of notoriety in general, like for independent stuff. If we're talking like truly independent, no studios, it doesn't get out there that much. So that's, for me, I personally don't see how there will be that explosion of independent cinema that a lot of people are saying, oh, this is the time to go. I hope it happens, especially right now that I am currently working on a project, on a number of projects really. But I hope it happens, but personally I don't really see it going to the way at least to the effect that most people are seeing it. I think, again, because I think most people are missing out the part where, like, where's our avenue distribution wise? That's where I kind of get lost. Now, I think the other thing that will explode, and I hope to kind of get on that bandwagon, is the fact that now more people are going to be able to get agents. I've actually done a couple workshops already in the past week. Jano Xiao, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She did an online webinar for the past 2-3 days, and I hopped on those webinars. And she was discussing how you could get an agent, especially now because people are hiring, and some of the ways to possibly get an agent now with strike. I think that could work. That's where I'm a bit more optimistic. But the thing is, a lot of actors are gonna try to get agents more than ever. So I'm not sure if the competition is more fiercer or less fiercer or just as fierce. That's where I'm gonna go either way, to be honest. But that's where I do hope to kind of jump on that bandwagon, especially because I've been looking for an agent for years. So yeah, that's basically everything I want to discuss right now. What are your thoughts on this crazy development? It's been a week. There's already been so much controversy that's just Jesus Christ. I mean, that's all I really got to say for it. Jesus Christ. Hopefully it gets figured out soon. As far as I know, discussions shouldn't commence again until about October or November, so it's gonna be a while. For better or worse. And hopefully by that time, the dickheads in charge will figure their shit out, and we'll go from there. But it's kind of weird. I just want to say one last time that all my links that I used, all my sources, are going to be down below. Click them, watch them, look at them, read them, everything, so you guys could get properly informed. Because really, that's the biggest thing. I'm not going to say there's a lot of misinformation going out there. Really, the most misinformation going out there is from the douchebags who are saying that if you're an actor, you shouldn't be working, point blank period. Get informed. Look at the links down below. Look at everything. The videos, the pictures, the images, the articles, everything. Look at it down below. Get yourself informed on everything going on. So yeah, that's basically it for now. Thank you for staying throughout this whole video. I know it's been a long video. I don't know how long this video is, especially because I have to edit it now. But yeah, thank you for staying, getting informed. Again, look at the links down below, get yourself informed, because that's the most important thing. And yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off. Okay, last voiceover of the video, but I just want to plug this in very fast, and that was that I was on recently on the podcast Mindless Rants with McPree, where we actually discussed this whole situation with Sag-Aftra. It's hosted by McPree, Alejo Vega, and I was featured as well as Trico Fullerton. The episode's about an hour long. Go check it out. Again, the link for that's also going to be down below in the description. Check it out. That's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.